You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to our news. The headlines. A businessman of CHILANGA dragged to court for allegedly sexually abusing his two sons. Zambia's fourth Republican president, RUPIAH BANDA, alive and well. Political violence must be stopped at all costs, charges the Law Association of Zambia. In international news, dozens of militia fighters surrender in CONGO Eastern conflict. And in sports news, Copper Queens unfazed by cancelled friendly. For the details, join me shortly after this break.
Zambia has embarked on an economic journey for individual financial emancipation, empowering its citizens through land acquisition and developing the nation through agriculture. This time, Zambians are coming together, taking it upon themselves with the help of government to develop this great nation by taking individual responsibility and ownership of this great nation. The economic revolution has started. There are thousands of Zambians with a can-do mindset who are resolute, unstoppable, full of confidence and conviction that Zambia's set time of favor for development is now. Don't be left out. This could be the time you have been waiting for. Camnet Television, in conjunction with the United Agrivision Consultancy Limited, will be hosting a national conference on becoming a millionaire through agriculture. Date 1st October and 2nd October 2021. Charges 750 kwacha per person per day, that includes lunch. A limited number of participants through Zoom have also been reserved. You can also be part of the conference from the comfort of your home by registering online via Zoom, joining the people who were born for greatness. Charges for participation via Zoom are only 300 kwacha per person. Time 0730 hours to 17 hours. Registration and confirmation of attendance will take place on the 29th of September 2021. Time 14 hours to 17 hours. Venue the Healing Word Ministries International, the home of Camnet Television in Apex Hill, Kapolonga Road, Lusaka.
With the details, my name is Liseli Kanyanga Mubanga. Ministry of Health has commenced the administration of the second dose of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines to every Zambian citizen who accessed the first dose. Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary for Technical Services, Dr. Kennedy Malama, announced this development when he visited Kalingalinga Clinic in Lusaka, where he got his second dose. Dr. Malama has since called on all Zambians who got their first vaccines to ensure they get their second one to allow the vaccines perform their intended purpose. Meanwhile, Zambia has in the last 24 hours recorded 50 new COVID-19 deaths with almost 300 admissions in a single day. Details in this report.
Ministry of Health has commenced the administration of the second dose of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines to every Zambian citizen who accessed their first dose. Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary for Technical Services, Dr. Kennedy Malama, announced this development at Kalingalinga Clinic in Lusaka, where he and other stakeholders led way to take their second dose and encourage every Zambian who took their first dose to ensure they access their second to allow the vaccines perform their functions.
So today, the 23rd of June, we've commenced administering the second dose of AstraZeneca. If you remember, we did receive AstraZeneca as a country on the 12th of April, and we did launch the vaccination on the 14th. So for the first cohort who received the vaccine on the 14th of April, the second dose is due today, the 23rd of June. So we are here at Kalingalinga with the World Health Organization country rep, UNICEF country rep, to receive our second dose. Again, this is to encourage the Zambians that for you to get maximum protection, get your first dose. And when your second dose is due, go for it, get it.
Dr. Malama adds that the benefit of accessing the vaccines outweighs that of not getting vaccinated as the country continues to record high numbers of infections and death. He cites that no one from Zambia and other neighboring countries has died by simply accessing the vaccines.
The story in our country continues to be worrisome. Today, in the last 24 hours, we've lost 50 Zambians, unacceptable from a disease which is preventable. We have well over 1,200 who are admitted. And also, as if that's not enough, yesterday we saw unprecedentedly a high admission in our facilities. Close to 300 people admitted. And we only discharged 116. So you can see that our healthcare facilities continue to be overwhelmed.
And the permanent secretary says government is making efforts to ensure that more vaccines arrive in the country to allow more citizens access the vaccines.
The government of the Republic of Zambia remains committed to mobilize more vaccines. We updated the nation that within June we are expecting another 108,000 doses of AstraZeneca. Again in July we are expecting another 120,000 doses of AstraZeneca. Within June, going to July, we expect 100,000 doses of Sinopharm. And yesterday we made a big announcement where government has mobilized resources from the Treasury, and also the World Bank has supplemented. And Zambia will be receiving 4.4 million doses of Johnson & Johnson, which is a single jab vaccine, in the third quarter.
And cooperating partners from UNICEF and the World Health Organizations have emphasized the importance of getting vaccinated by all Zambians.
The majority survive this disease. So people should be positive and know that even if I am COVID-19 positive, it is not a death sentence. If I do the right measures, seek help early, I can make it. We can't predict who will not make it, but since we can't do that, when you are unwell, simply go and seek care. And if the medical workers assess you, then they will decide who should go into a facility, who can be managed at home, and guidance has been provided.
Just an appeal that when the second round comes, those who didn't get should go for the vaccine, and also they should advocate to the subjects so that they take the vaccine when an opportunity arises. The vaccine is safe. Here I am, I've taken my second one, and I'm still fine.
COVID-19 deaths and infections can be prevented if all Zambians continue to practice the 5 golden rules. Prudence Jota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Chipata City Council, CCC, is greatly concerned with the unhygiene discovered in some parts of Kapata area after conducting COVID-19 adherence spot checks. CCC Public Relations Manager Charity Mtonga says the spot checks conducted by the local authorities Department of Environmental Health disclosed that some households comprising of more than 8 or 12 people are using pit latrines that are not fit for use. Ms. Mutonga says the toilets that were already filled up with fecal matter can act as a catalyst to spread various waterborne diseases. More in this report.
The effective prevention of the coronavirus requires concerted efforts from members of the public at household level. During the inspections conducted by the Chipata City Council Departments of Environmental Health, a house was discovered in Kapata area that had 8 tenants using one pit latrine that was already filled up. Chipata City Council Public Relations Manager Charity Mtonga accompanied the team during the inspections.
Discovered that most of the households actually in this area do not have a very sanitary conditions. Most of the toilets are not in a good state, and so we will heighten inspections just to make sure that even as we are fighting other diseases, right now we are living in COVID times. We're trying to make sure that everybody gets to make sure that hygiene is number one.
And these are the tenants from the houses inspected by the local authority. Later, the team went to Mwami border to check on the COVID-19 levels of adherence by motorists and pedestrians.
What we're doing here is we're making sure that all motorists and of course just the general public masks up, and we're seeing to it that we also monitor the traffic that is coming in. As you know that this is the Mwami border and it borders Zambia and Malawi. Government
is working in partnership with various stakeholders in promoting the use of adherence guidelines given by the Ministry of Health in fighting the spread of the coronavirus. Sylvester Shimba for Zanis in Chipata District, Eastern Province.
A businessman of CHILANGA Mapepe compound has been dragged to court for allegedly sexually abusing his 13-year-old nephew and 2 sons against the order of nature. This is in a matter in which a Starfood Chimanga 32, a businessman, is charged with 1 count of unnatural offences contrary to section 155 cap A of the Penal Code chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia. It is alleged that the abuse occurred between the 31st of December 2020 and the 1st of May 2021. Brief details of facts are that Chimanga in December 2020 started living with his nephew so that he can start sponsoring him to school, but instead would sexually abuse the 13-year-old victim and would give him a 5 kwacha to buy his silence and a 10 kwacha for the alleged abuse act. It is alleged that the trend of taking advantage of the boy continued till he resorted in doing the same things to his 2 sons. The accused is, however, expected to soon take a plea before Lusaka Magistrate Fides Hamaundu.
Former Justice Minister Given Luwinda, Attorney General
Attorney General Likando Kalaluka says the Deputy Chief Justice is equal to the task to fill the gap left by the late Chief Justice Irene Mambilima till such a time when a substantive office order is appointed. Speaking to the media shortly after signing in the Book of Condolences in honor of Justice Mambilima, the Attorney General states that if there will be any court matters that will involve the acting Chief Justice during and after the election period, the Deputy Justice Michael Musonda has demonstrated strong leadership, hence equal to the task to carry on from where her ladyship Justin Mambilima left from. Meanwhile, former Justice Minister Given Luwinda has described the late as a pillar to the legal fraternity who was fair in all her duties. More in this report.
Former Justice Minister Given Luwinda, Attorney General Likando Kalaluka and Solicitor General Abraham Mwansa have joined the long list of people from the legal fraternity, including government officials, to mourn the late Chief Justice Irene Mambilima, who died on Sunday, the 20th of June, 2021, in Egypt. The former Justice Minister, who joined the rest in signing the Book of Condolences in honor of the late, says it is unfortunate that the country had to lose a person like her during this trying moment when the country is still mourning its first Republican president.
She exuded a high level of integrity and a high level of patriotism to her country. She was extremely determined to ensuring that there is justice for all in Zambia. I will remember her for having worked extremely hard at making the justice system paperless. She worked extremely hard at digitizing all the case records in the court system. She also worked extremely hard at ensuring that there is better infrastructure that is provided for the justice system.
The Attorney General says the legal fraternity is still shocked by her death.
Devastated by her passing, more especially that we didn't seem to have any warning whatsoever of her impending either illness or death. So the legal profession is definitely devastated because we have lost a pillar of justice.
And this was the Solicitor General's comment.
In life, everything that happens for a reason. But I must state that we celebrate the life of the late Chief Justice, in that she was not only a mother, aunt, and grandmother, but she was a leader that gave guidance to the young and old at the bar.
Meanwhile, the Attorney General has disclosed that if there will be any court cases that will involve the Chief Justice during and after the election period, the Deputy Chief Justice Michael Msonda is equal to the task.
I believe the Deputy Chief Justice will live up to the expectations. He is a man who has proved himself Of course, where the Chief Justice passes, like is the case now, the Deputy Chief Justice will act as Chief Justice until such a time that a substantive office holder is appointed. If there will be any court matters that will involve the acting Chief Justice, I believe that Mr. Justice Michael Msonga is up to the task. Of course, the shoes left by her lordship are too big, but we believe that Mr. Justice Michael Msonga will live up to the expectations.
Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Law Association of Zambia has compelled political parties in the country to sign a peace and non-violence charter ahead of the August general elections. Speaking at the signing ceremony held in Lusaka, LA's President Abel Shonga says the universe will harshly judge all Zambians if political violence is not stopped. And the Electoral Commissioner of Zambia, ECZ, Chief Electoral Officer Patrick Shindano, who was invited to observe the signing, says political parties hold the keys to ending violence. Meanwhile, representatives from the ruling Patriotic Front failed to show up at the signing of the Peace and Non-Violence Charter. More in this report.
Two political parties, namely the United Party for National Development UPND and the Patriotic Front PF, have been linked to political violence, which forced the Electoral Commission of Zambia ECZ to ban the two political parties from taking part in any campaign activities in Lusaka and Nakonde, among two other places, for a period of 14 days. Several stakeholders have voiced their displeasure over the violence and have called for a cease political violence before, during and after the general elections. And the Law Association of Zambia has joined the many voices that have called for political violence to come to an end by compelling all political parties of Zambia to sign in a peace and non-violence charter that will see to it that violence does not continue to occur even as August draws to a close. Attended by 10 political parties, Law Association of Zambia President Abudia Shonga says political parties hold the key to maintaining peace and unity in any election.
The Law Association of Zambia invited the political parties, and the document that we will review and hopefully sign today is a culmination of each and every one of your inputs. And it is hoped that this document will not just be a paper document, but the values and the spirit and the promise made in the document will help all of us in bringing down the political temperature in the country.
With the PF and UPND being linked to the violent, representative from the ruling Patriotic Front, however, did not show up at the Peace and Non-Violence Charter signing, which Mr. Shonga says political parties that did not show up will be followed to ensure they avail their signature on the Peace and Non-Violence Charter.
The Association of Zambia will engage these political parties to ensure that they too append their signature to this monumental and important document. The parties I'm referring to are the Patriotic Front, the Movement for Change and Equity, United Party for Better Zambia, ZDDM, RAP, NGP, the Socialist Party, National Party, the Rainbow Party, and CCD.
And the Electoral Commission of Zambia Chief Electoral Officer Patrick Shindano, who was invited to observe the signing, is happy with the move taken by the Law Association of Zambia to morally compel political parties to pledge their support to stopping violence.
And unfortunately, at the beginning of the campaign, we did see sporadic incidences of violence ensuing, which should not be the case. And we hope that at this moment, when the country is mourning our dear beloved First Republican President, who is known for peace and unity, that with this charter that will be signed today, will be cementing on what he stood for and be able to ensure that from this point onwards up to the time we cast our vote on 12th August, and indeed beyond, Zambia will experience peace, and the only competition will be that of ideas.
With less than 50 days to go before the general elections, the message of upholding the One Zambia, One Nation motto should be at the hand of every Zambian in honor of the late First Republican President Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
And moving on in the news, Patriotic Front Kasama constituency parliamentary candidate Sibongile Mwamba has dispelled rumors circulating in the media that she has pulled out of the race due to an illness. Speaking to the media in Lusaka Wednesday, Ms. Mwamba notes that the story stating that she has been evacuated to South Africa for medical treatment after suffering a stroke should be ignored with the contempt it deserves. Ms. Mwamba has in this regard accused her opponents of fabricating the story in order to confuse the electorates. She has since advised all her opponents to face her in the Kasama Central on the ballot, and Ms. Mwamba has assured the electorates that she is well. Meanwhile, former Kasama Central lawmaker Geoffrey Mwamba, commonly known as GBM, has declared victory for the Patriotic Front because it is the party of choice for many Zambians. At the same event, GBM also received defectors from other parties, among them the Democratic Party.
Has a stroke. She has a stroke, and she has been flown to South Africa. I'm sure some of you have come across that circulation, isn't it? But I wanted to tell you that if you look on my immediate left, she's there. Is she in South Africa? She's there, she is. So that's my daughter, Sibongile. So I want you to probably also talk to her so that people can see that these people are just trying to be malicious. But we know during campaign time these things are expected. It's not a big deal, but just for people to know that she's well, she's not sick. Of course she was sick, but she's well, like all of us, unless some of us don't fall sick. We don't fall sick in here. Sure, we all fall sick, and that's normal.
I sit here today following all the media speculations. Last night as I sat with my family, there were social media malicious stories that were going around that I had a stroke and I had traveled. I was evacuated into South Africa. I wish to let everybody know that I am in perfect health, I am in good condition. As we are all aware, we have lost the founding father of this nation, followed by many other deaths. If you look at the statistics, right now we're probably looking at losing about 610 people due to various COVID-related issues. Today, I am back in Lusaka. Why? Our campaign is on go slow due to national mourning. I will not defy what the party has decided, what the secretary to the cabinet has decided, and what we as a party have decided. I have come here to recollect, to rethink, to re-energize, and to reorganize myself.
The government has dispelled rumors circulating on social media that Zambia's former Republican President RUPIAH BANDA has died. In a statement released to the media, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting Services Permanent Secretary Amos Malupenga says the rumor is unfounded as the former head of state is in good health and is not admitted to any health facility. Government has further advised the general public not to misuse social media during this period that the country is experiencing increased deaths of COVID-19 by publishing false information. Meanwhile, the former head of state says he underwent another chemotherapy treatment and is looking forward to returning back home soon.
Yes, I just want to say that I'm feeling much better. Thank you so much. I'm undergoing my treatment and looking forward to returning home soon. Just so sad that I'm returning to Zambia without Dr. Kaunda. But otherwise, I'm well. I'm recovering soon. I've received my third chemotherapy 5 days ago, and I'm getting ready to return home soon.
The Democracy and Motherland Defenders Coalition has charged that provincial visitations of the body of the late First Republican President, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, is a welcomed move. Addressing the media Wednesday morning, Coalition Chairperson Andrew Ntewewe says this will accord Zambians a chance to pay their last respect to the nation's founding father. Mr. Ntewewe notes that Dr. Kaunda's funeral is a state funeral which should be sacrificed by temporal setbacks, adding that his history must be written for the generation to come. Meanwhile, Mr. Ntewewe says it is the coalition's considered view that President Edgar Lungu declares the 7th of July 2021 when Dr. Kaunda will be put to rest a public holiday.
We have noted the program for the state funeral of Dr. Kaunda by Her Honor the Vice President, Mama Inonge Mutukwawina. We welcome the decision to do provincial visitations so that Zambians in all provinces can mourn and pass their last respects to the founding father of this great nation. We also wish to place on record that the state funeral of Dr. Kaunda is a national event which cannot be sacrificed by temporal setbacks. We must write history for generations to come. Correct. Our children should always remember and be told that we mourned Dr. Kaunda in dignity and peace with the entire continent of Africa.
Those hoping to provide national leadership must be able to demonstrate high level of integrity and show moral values and respect the grieving society. We wish also to remind Zambians that Dr. Kenneth Kaunda promoted national unity and peace. He worked very hard to bring over 72 tribes together in unity and in peace. And therefore, our political leaders must emulate Dr. Kenneth Kaunda by promoting unity and peace.
We take our first set of commercials to stay with us as we still have more interesting stories lined up for you.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbanda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
At Master Signs, our services range from outdoor, indoor signage such as billboards, banners, 3D light boxes, pylons and neon signs. We are located at plot number 397A, Makeni Road, Lusaka, at Oryx Filling Station. For more details, call us on +260 967 100 090 or +260 966 999 981, or better still, email us at infomastersign@gmail.com. Master Sign, we will make it shine.
Every day for me means hard work. Going to sell my goods at the local market. To get more customers, I have my secret. Oracle Pure Glycerin. It's soft, smooth, and keeps my skin perfect. And my customers know it. Thank you, Oracle, for my perfect skin.
President Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the Patriotic Front have transformed the transportation sector by facilitating the construction of bus stations around the country. Vote for Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the PF that have brought you change.
Zambia has embarked on an economic journey for individual financial emancipation, empowering its citizens through land acquisition and developing the nation through agriculture. This time, Zambians are coming together, taking it upon themselves with the help of government to develop this great nation by taking individual responsibility and ownership of this great nation. The economic revolution has started. There are thousands of Zambians with a can-do mindset who are resolute, unstoppable, full of confidence and conviction that Zambia's set time of favor for development is now. Don't be left out. This could be the time you have been waiting for. Camnet Television, in conjunction with the United Agrivision Consultancy Limited, will be hosting a national conference on becoming a millionaire through agriculture. Date 1st October and 2nd October 2021. Charges 750 kwacha per person per day, that includes lunch. A limited number of participants through Zoom have also been reserved. You can also be part of the conference from the comfort of your home by registering online via Zoom, joining the people who were born for greatness. Charges for participation via Zoom are only 300 kwacha per person. Time 0730 hours to 17 hours. Registration and confirmation of attendance will take place on the 29th of September 2021. Time 14 hours to 17 hours. Venue the Healing Word Ministries International, the home of Camnet Television in Apex Hill, Kabulonga Road, Lusaka.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. The Zambian Institute of Governance and Civil Liberties Advocacy Platform, ZICLAV Chief Executive Officer Francis Chipili has advised all those aspiring to lead the country to emulate the late fallen hero Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. Speaking to Camnet TV, Mr. Chipili explains that his leadership style is one to be admired and followed by all those wishing to lead the country. He notes that Dr. Kaunda was a humble leader whose deeds can still be traced to date. And Mr. Chipili has called on all politicians never to divide the nation using regionalism as a means of gaining political mileage. He says there is need to continue building on the foundation left by the founding father, Dr. Kaunda.
By the passing of our founding father, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. However, we would like to use his passing to urge the current political leaders and those that are aspiring for political office to emulate the life that Dr. Kaunda led. Dr. Kaunda led a simple life. He leaves a legacy that shall outlive his life here on earth. We want to appeal to the youth to critically review the history of our country, take interest in the works of Dr. Kaunda that he promoted. Dr. Kaunda promoted humanism, a thing that promoted unity in our country. Dr. Kaunda championed the concept of going back to the land, which he hankered on developing our country. We as an institute would like to appeal to the Zambian people, particularly the youth that are looking for employment, to take Dr. Kaunda's call to go back to the land in form of venturing into agricultural production as a means to create their own employment as well as contribute to our national economy. we want to appeal to our people to continue promoting national unity. As you know, Dr. Kaunda championed One Zambia, One Nation. We want to appeal to political parties, to politicians, never to divide our country on tribal lines, never to position themselves using the divisive tactics as a way of gaining political power.
Freedom Fighters Association of Zambia has urged the Zambian people to hold on to the One Zambia, One Nation motto, which was started by the first Republican President, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, as the nation celebrates his life. Association Chairman Mama Eunice Kalichini has further appealed to all peace-loving Zambians to desist from engaging in activities that might result in the spilling of blood. She says the country had enough bloodshed during the fight for independence, which she says should never be repeated. She has further urged all political leaders to unite and show love to one another despite sharing divergent views.
ifyo mfirirwa kusanga mubara rume bambi nemo shini politician pakwati ndeshimbura pona mapatezi shishi nemo bonsa balipo na bana bamya bakaba pona mairo bana bangi. I'm proud of you Zambians, so proud, because they are all educated and very, very, very courageous people. Don't spill milk. Don't spill the blood of a your fellow human being. Nishimwari tipuira chapwa. Mwafwa, gombe ninga bana, banga ndainga, jimo. Non-violence, takiri atikia kwanga, shamano, kwata mano, mukubishe fingi wene. Mkireke, mureke, kiaro chenu, ikeki tuachurire. Tamwariko, pano tuarichurire mkwebo kwebate. Uru tuavika to One Zambia, One Nation. Turi banga inga, imo. Abakapafukanga kamo.
The Baptist Convention of Zambia says Zambians must continue to maintain the slogan of the One Zambia, One Nation implemented by Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. Speaking to Camnet TV in an exclusive interview, BCZ President Reverend Akim Muyombe says Zambia should celebrate his life by making sure that the important things he fought for be observed at all cost. He has since described Dr. Kaunda as a gallant leader of Africa who pioneered liberation.
The convention, we want to mourn together with the family, because the president has been our father as a country. He's the founder, and he has done so much for this land. He has united us. He put up the slogan of One Zambia, One Nation, of which he implemented every. And we are looking forward that that slogan will be maintained even in the future years to come, because it brings unity. What he saw was that if that was not done, the country would end up in chaos, because people would be divided. So we appreciate what he did.
Meanwhile, BCZ General Secretary Pastor Stewart Mbewe has urged all political players to desist from any form of violent activities, adding that nothing supersedes peace. Pastor Mbewe says political players must not be selfish but must level the playing ground to allow everyone to participate freely. He adds that all those in politics are there to serve the people, hence the need to ensure that the lives of those they wish to govern are preserved.
Our message to the politicians is that they should cherish peace, they should tolerate one another, They should embrace one another, and they should level the ground that everyone must see that we are striving for the mother Zambia. We don't want selfishness, we don't want selfish politics. Our role as Christians, we are praying for the country, praying for the state, that indeed by His grace, God's grace, we have free and fair elections.
We take another set of commercials to stay with us for international and sports news. Don't go away.
I was born in Mwengwa in a grass-thatched house. I went to school barefoot and then to secondary school. University came, all of this on government bursary, on the sponsorship of the people of Zambia. Many people ask me questions. Why have you continued to seek public office? You've been arrested 15 times. This fight is not about Hakainde. It's about 18 million Zambians who want a better life. I'm standing for the presidency of this country because I know and I believe that this country is so rich and yet its people live in poverty. I am standing for that child to have an opportunity to go to school the way I did myself. It's time for change. Zambians have suffered enough. I'm Hakainde Hichilema. I invite you to take my hand. Together, we will build a better life for every Zambian.
In this fast-paced era of industrial boom and population growth, there is need to invest in smart ways of managing electricity and water consumption and reducing utility billing costs associated with the postpaid billing system. At Savenda Electronics, we manufacture right here in Zambia different types of high-quality smart electricity and water meters to customer specifications. Savenda Electronics water and electricity meters help you monitor your usage and gives notifications such as low units, tampering, low battery, and many other features. These easy-to-use meters makes it easier to buy units even in these COVID times and top up just from the comfort of your space. Favorable contract terms are available to both electricity and water utilities. For more details, get in touch with us on the following numbers: 0956 580 349 or 0977 498 318. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
International Airport, located just 15 kilometers from the Victoria Falls, is now one of the best and busiest airports that Zambia has. Vote for Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the PF that have brought you change.
Zambia has embarked on an economic journey for individual financial emancipation, empowering its citizens through land acquisition and developing the nation through agriculture. This time, Zambians are coming together, taking it upon themselves with the help of government to develop this great nation by taking individual responsibility and ownership of this great nation. The economic revolution has started. There are thousands of Zambians with a can-do mindset who are resolute, unstoppable, full of confidence and conviction that Zambia's set time of favor for development is now. Don't be left out. This could be the time you have been waiting for. Camnet Television, in conjunction with the United Agrivision Consultancy Limited, will be hosting a national conference on becoming a millionaire through agriculture. Date: 1st October and 2nd October 2021. Charges: 750 kwacha per person per day, that includes lunch. A limited number of participants through Zoom have also been reserved. You can also be part of the conference from the comfort of your home by registering online via Zoom, joining the people who were born for greatness. Charges for participation via Zoom are only 300 kwacha per person. Time: 0730 hours to 17 hours. Registration and confirmation of attendance will take place on the 29th of September 2021. Time: 14 hours to 17 hours. Venue: the Healing Word Ministries International, the home of Camnet Television in Apex Hill, Kapalonga Road, Lusaka.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with news. In international news, Dozens of militia fighters in the Democratic Republic of Congo have laid down their weapons and surrendered to the authorities. They are the first to do so since President Felix Tshisekedi announced a state of search last month to stop escalating violence in two eastern provinces. In other news, Al Jazeera reports that a sanctions battle closer to home for the United States is with Cuba. The communist country is appealing to the United Nations General Assembly to end a decades-long trade embargo that it calls inhumane. It comes as banks in Cuba suspend deposits of US dollars, making life harder for the people. Here's a roundup of the international stories.
Armed fighters in the Democratic Republic of Congo's North Kivu province take part in a ceremony following their surrender to government forces. Around 70 weapons, mostly rifles, were also handed in.
Our work in the rebellion was to steal and destroy the peace among the people. This is why we, the leaders of the bush troops, decided to leave the bush, to bring our children out of the bush to embrace a better life.
The provinces of North Kivu and Ituri in the east of DRC were placed under military rule last month to stop escalating violence between armed groups. President Felix Tshisekedi put the army and police in charge of administrative, court and policing affairs, and two generals were appointed as governors, replacing those who were elected.
The cleanup operation is already effective with several villages recovered. We will continue to hunt down these armed groups wherever they go.
Violence has plagued these eastern provinces for years, with more than 100 armed groups operating in the dense forests. And attacks on civilians has surged recently, killing thousands of Congolese and displacing more than 5 million. So many support the president's actions.
I feel very happy, really happy to see our cousins, our brothers and uncles who were once fighters surrender. Since the military governor has been in office, we see that the activism of the armed groups is on the decline, and now they are starting to surrender without gunfire.
President Tshisekedi says his decision to impose the so-called state of siege was prompted by the suffering of those living in North Kivu and Ituri. Critics warn the security forces could easily abuse their mandate, but supporters say military rule is already making a difference.
President Joe Biden came to office promising changes in US policy toward Cuba. But months after he moved into the White House, sanctions remain in place and diplomacy is strained at best. The crippling effects of the US embargo recently led to the suspension of cash deposits in US dollars, a major source of income for ordinary Cubans.
It affects me from the point of view that I have relatives abroad who send me foreign currency, but well, we will look for other ways for it to arrive.
It's all a far cry from President Obama's historic visit in 2016, when relations were normalized, the US embassy reopened and travel to Cuba allowed. President Biden, it seems, is not following suit.
A Cuba policy shift or additional steps is currently not among the president's top foreign policy priorities, but it is an issue, of course, we will remain engaged in and focused on.
In essence, that means retaining hundreds of tough measures put in place by President Trump, including redesignating Cuba as state sponsor of terrorism. Critics of the embargo say despite calls for democracy and improved human rights in Cuba, changes can be made.
They want to see some evidence of progress, politically, economically, but that's not necessarily an impediment to perhaps taking initial steps to get rid of some of the more strict or tough sanctions that the Trump administration put in place.
Major modifications to such a complex and long-standing web of laws would need congressional approval, something not likely to happen. But the reason behind Biden's lack of action may be more political. During the last presidential election here in Florida, Democrats suffered losses in part because President Trump was so tough on Cuba. Fear of communism runs deep among both Cuban American and Hispanic voters, and support for the embargo remains high. The Biden administration's keenly aware of just how crucial those votes are, reason enough perhaps to keep the status quo. For Cuban Americans like Ingrid Arenas, the blame lays squarely with the Cuban government.
They don't allow any young people that, of course, have new ideas, have a new method, have a good hopes. No, they don't allow anybody who thinks different do something. So it has to be a change. The only way for Cuban people is a change.
Speaking in Havana late last year, Cuba's foreign minister condemned the embargo, saying it brought nothing but pain.
The U.S. government has tightened in extreme and unprecedented ways the blockade against Cuba, taking advantage of the terrible conditions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The blockade has always been a criminal act, a genocidal act as established by the Geneva Convention, an act of economic warfare.
For more than 25 years, the UN General Assembly has voted in favor of ending the U.S. embargo on Cuba. But
We now get into sports news. The international friendly match between Zambia and Great Britain has been cancelled due to complications linked to COVID-19 travel restrictions. The Copper Queens were due to play Great Britain, comprising England, Scotland and Wales players, at the Stoke City Stadium on July 1st, 2021 as part of the preparations for the delayed Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. Head coach Bruce Mwape described the cancellation as a minor setback before urging his players to focus on the tournament, which kicks off in less than a month. The Copper Queens are in Group F alongside China, Brazil and Netherlands at the Women's Olympic Football Tournament Tokyo 2020, which will run from July 21st, August 2021. The squad has been trimmed from 32 to 24 players, with Mwape hinting that the final squad will be announced in the coming days. The team has been in camp for 3 months, continues to intensify their local preparations with a practice match against a Heroes Select side before facing the Young Green Buffaloes men's team next week. All the foreign-based players have joined camp, with Mwape working with all the players he requires for the Tokyo assignment. That sports item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines. A businessman of CHILANGA dragged to court for allegedly sexually abusing his 2 sons. Zambia's 4th Republican President, RUPIAH BANDA, alive and well. Political violence must be stopped at all costs, charges the Law Association of Zambia. And in international news, dozens of militia fighters surrender in DR Congo Eastern conflict. And in sports news, Copper Queens unfazed by cancelled friendly. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day, which is coming from the book of Psalms 8, verse 3 to 4, and it reads, "When I observe your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you set in place, what is man that you remember him, the son of man that you look after him?" On behalf of the entire news production crew and myself, Liseli Kanyanga Mubanga, thank you so much for watching Camnet TV News on Camnet TV, not just another channel.